Hey crew, it's Bid, and I'm back with today's Timeless Tarot for August the 9th of 2025. But this is a timeless reading, so whenever you find it is exactly when it was meant to find you. We will be pulling 8 cards from the Divine Feminine deck, 8 cards from the Divine Masculine deck in accordance with the 8 human chakras so that we can best understand how to manifest our highest timeline in accordance with Spirit. I've already done a pre-shuffle, but I'd like to get a couple more just to make sure everything is exactly where Spirit would have it to be. And now that we have done that, we will begin pulling, beginning with the base. And in the base, we have the Queen of Swords in reverse. In the sacral, we have the Hierophant. In the solar plexus, we have the Page of Cups in reverse. In the heart, we have the Queen of Pentacles. In the throat, we have the Four of Wands in reverse. In the third eye, we have the Six of Swords in reverse. And in the crown, we have the Three of Pentacles. And then rounding out our message from the Divine Feminine on the bottom of the deck, we have the Eight of Wands. Next, we're going to pull 8 cards from the Divine Masculine. The Divine Feminine, the cards that are already on the table, tell us what the current situation is. The Divine Masculine lets us know what steps and actions that can be taken to help manifest our highest timelines in accordance with Spirit. And now we will begin with the Crown, and we have Death. That came out on its own, right? I didn't pull that one, but we're going to take it, and that is the spot where it goes. In the third eye, we have the Page of Cups. In the throat, we have the Nine of Swords. In the heart, we have the Six of Swords. A lot of repeat energy. In the solar plexus, we have the Page of Wands in reverse. And in the sacral, we have the Two of Wands in reverse. In the base, we have the Lovers. And rounding out our message from the Divine Masculine, on the bottom of the deck, we have the Knight of Pentacles. Alright, and in reverse. Let's dive in and see what Spirit is telling us today. We begin in the base because that is base existence. Do you have a home? Do you have a job? Do you have food? Do you have money? Are you being provided for? This is the area that deals with love and wrath, so are you giving away too much physical affection? Emotional affection? Are you not receiving the affection that you feel like you deserve? Neither one is particularly good. Today we have the Queen of Swords in reverse. Now, this is swords. Swords are soul, air, thought. It is intellect, and it is communication. And so this can indicate that there is some communication coming in. This can indicate something about a thought. You have it in reverse. When it is upright, this is you have overcome a challenge, but you are not quite to the harvest. The queens are about appropriately investing energy in the Divine Feminine. The Queen is the Divine Feminine in maturity, like not immature, but in her maturity. And so this is a perfectly balanced feminine energy about a thought or an idea when it is standing upright. When it is like this is more aggressive, right? When this is nurturing, letting the energy come to you and giving it all of the love. When it is in the reverse, this is you going out and giving the love. This is you being in the nurturative energy, but being more aggressively so. And so there is something in your base situation which you need to nurture around an idea more aggressively, right? Now, that's not to say run out in your Divine Masculine, because you would have had a king there. This is still the Divine Feminine energy. This is still nurturative energy. This is appropriately placing your energy where it needs to go. This is in the spot of base provision and love. It's clarified by Lovers, and so that's why I bring that up in particular. Now, clarifying with steps that can be taken, you've got the Lovers card, which is the 6. This is about the same energy, right? 6s are the lesser queen, right? 6 and queen both represent the same thing on the higher and lower levels. And this is the path of provision. In the provision spot, this is a partnership or divine marriage card. And so this nurturing of an idea can include someone else being involved. This is also the area that deals with love and wrath. And this is the Lover's card. So this can indicate love, right? Now, this is steps that can be taken. This can be you recognizing a partner. This absolutely can be that. You have one of the marriage cards in the sexual area. This might wind up being a love reading. I normally do not do those, but if the energy is there, that's the way we go. This is the Lovers. It is the marriage card of the tarot, like the marriage card. This is the one that signifies that more than anything else. It doesn't necessarily have to. It can be a business partnership. But if it is a business partnership, it's of the divine providence type, right? It is not just some random encounter. If it is a friendship, it is the divinely provided friendship, right? Soulmates are not just sexual. They are the people who help you grow along your path. Sometimes those people stick around for a long time. This indicates that type of person, right? This is someone who will be in your life for a long period of time, if it is indicating a person. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, but again, we do have that energy over here as well. But this is related to an idea, so there may be that you need to have an idea, then nurture that with a partner. Right? Communication with a partner about nurturement, right? This is also communications, not just an idea. And so this can be you communicating to someone, leading to a partnership. Next, we're going to go to the sacral, and the sacral is the area of physical generation, right? This is sexual. It is the area that deals with lust and chastity, so you may be overgiving some of the physical affection. You may not be receiving enough physical affection. Sexual abstinence is highly overrated. It is not a balanced thing to be completely sexually abstinent. But this does not necessarily indicate sexual relations, although it can. It's business partnerships as well. This is what you were trying to create in your life. This is the earthly path, so it is tied to provision. It is tied to partnerships in that way, the things of the earth. And so it can be a sexual relationship, but it can be a business partnership as well. You envision your future with your third eye. You energetically invest through your heart into the divine, and you take steps here. Now, what you have here is the Hierophant, and many people consider this one of the marriage cards. I don't. It does not give that energy to me at all, but other people do consider it there, so I do mention it in consideration of the Lovers in the base. This is the area of sexual generation, so it can be a partnership again. But the overarching energy of this is someone teaching. This is someone bestowing authority upon someone else. The old name for this was the Pope. This is religious systems. It is a 5. 5s are about challenges. This is about rising to meet a challenge. In the path of, this is the earthly path. This will be the clarifier for the night. And so this is rising to meet the challenges of the earthly path. This is stepping into authority, but you're not quite at the divine masculine energy, right? He may be divinely appointed to his position, but he is not in his maturity. That is the king. And so this is rising to meet the challenge through religious systems. This does indicate religious systems. He is on the throne of authority between the two pillars of light and dark, and he has 2 supplicants at his feet. Those are not people trying to be married, right? I don't know if you can see that or not. Some people see it as a marriage card. I don't, because that is 2 friars, right? They're not going to the Pope to be married. They're going to the Pope for blessings. They're going to the Pope for assignments. They're going to Pope for religious systems, right? This is a challenge. It can be related to a religious system. It can be a partnership, but that energy is a lot less in my readings. But it is being clarified by a 2 of Wands, which is a choice about change. This can indicate that there is a difficult choice around a religious system that you may be contemplating, right? If you are thinking of leaving the control system that you have been in for the entirety of your life, that is definitely a challenge, and it is changing. Doesn't necessarily have to be what it is. That is just one of the interpretations available. This, when it is standing tall, is making the appropriate decision, maybe a little bit impulsively. Wands are about intuition. They are spirit, fire, life light logos, change, and intuition. And so this can indicate an intuitive choice, right? Maybe you don't have all of the information and yet you are still making the choice. But it is a choice being presented. That is what the 2 indicates. 1s are the realization that there is a path. 2 is making a choice about that path, whether that is for or against. Now, when it is standing tall, you are being actively presented with a choice that you need to make in your life. When it is in the reverse, it is less of that energy, which means that it is probably a choice that is coming to you as opposed to you going to it. It is probably still going to be an intuitive choice. You probably are not going to have all of the information, seeing as how it is in the negative. You are still required to make the choice, however, and so this is telling you that in order to do whatever this is, to rise to this challenge now, this doesn't have to be a religious system thing. This can be relationships. This can be business partnerships. It can be position of authority things. But there is a choice to be made about it. You are being presented with that choice, and that choice is what allows you to meet the challenge. Next, we're going to go over here to the solar plexus, and the solar plexus is quite literally what changes your food into fuel. It is tied to your stomach. It deals with temperance and gluttony, so the overconsumption of the things of the mortal coil, the underconsumption of the things of the mortal coil, neither one are particularly good, right? If you are, I'm never going to eat meat, you're wrong. If you are, I'm only going to eat meat, you're wrong. There is a balance to be stricken in everything, and that what you consume is definitely part of that. Now, you've got a whole lot of not understanding here, right? This is the Page of Cups, and cups represent emotions. It is feelings. It is body, spirit. So it is water, feelings, connections. It is familial connections, spousal connections, coworker connections, your friendships, but it is not the people. It is the emotions attached to it. This is the page, and the page is about understanding. And what you see, he is standing. He is not moving. He is standing, staring into his cup, trying to understand the emotional situation that is facing him. This is you not understanding that emotional situation. Maybe even twice. And so what we have here is you needing to not take into consideration something. We've talked about this a couple of times, but this is another good spot to place it, right? This is if you hurt someone's feelings and you actually did the thing and their feelings are hurt, then you are responsible for correcting that action. You should apologize unequivocally. Don't try to say but, right? But apologize. I did this thing. It was wrong. Here are the actions that I'm going to take to correct that, right? Unequivocal apology. But when you have this in the reverse, that is saying that maybe that person is not operating off of something that you've actually done. Maybe it's something that they heard you did. Maybe it's something that they just think you did, but they're wrong. Well, in that case, you do not have to give due consideration to their emotions. Not to just dismiss them outright, but not to take extra consideration of them because they are wrong. They are factually incorrect. That is this energy. Now, that's not the only way that this energy unfolds, but it's the easiest to explain. There is something about an understanding that you are not to give. This does appear to be tied to emotions, so the example is a little bit clearer than it would be for, say, wands, right? It's a little bit harder to clarify not understanding something with change, but with emotions it is, right? If the emotions are appropriate, then they're appropriate, but if they're not appropriate, you don't have to give understanding for that. That is this energy, right? That is this negative flexion. That is the understanding coming to you, not you seeking the understanding. And you've got it twice here. Now, if this would have been a Page of Cups, it was like, yeah, that's definitely related to an emotion. But it could be an emotion that is brought about by a misunderstanding of change. Now, this is the change card, right? Wands are about change. This is understanding the change. Again, he is not moving. He does have a leg that is a little bit lifted, but it's not really moving. He is staring into his wand of change, trying to understand the change that is unfolding. He has learned about the change. He is not ready to rise to meet the challenge of the change. He's simply trying to understand it, or he's not understanding it. This is the active role. This one is the negative role, the passive, what is currently happening, and this is steps that you can take. You don't have an understanding about an emotion, or you're not to understand about an emotion, and you don't understand about the change, or you are not supposed to understand about the change. Now, this can mean that the change is coming in. There is definitely some understanding around some change. Otherwise, it would be a different card. But this is the less positive aspect of it. This is not go out and meet, go out and find. This is let it come to you and appropriately act. Now, this is the area that fuels everything, and this is a negative flexion, so it indicates a little bit of wait and see, wait and let it unfold. What is coming out of this? There appears to be emotions tied to some change. Next, we're going to go to the heart, and the heart is the area of true manifestation. It is the centerpiece for everything. The as above and the as below tie together through your heart. This is the area that deals with greed and charity. Greed being associated with the mortal coil is loving things a little bit too much. Charity being associated with the spiritual coil is loving things not quite enough. Neither one are particularly good. You are meant to have things, but not all of the things. You are meant to give things away, but not all of the things. And what you have here is nurture the path. This is Pentacles, and Pentacles are about provision in the same way the base is. Do you have a home? Do you have a job? Do you have food? Do you have money? Are you provided for? Now, the Queen is about nurturing energy. This, just like the Queen of Swords, is about nurturing an idea. This is nurturing the earthly path. This is nurturing your job. This is nurturing your home. This is nurturing the earthly path. I'm doing so appropriately. Now, she has already overcome the challenge of the night. She is not quite to the fulfillment of the harvest. This is the divine feminine in her maturity. And so this is indicating that there is something about your current earthly path that you are to nurture. Nurturing energy is not going out and finding things. It is allowing things to come to you. It is giving the appropriate energy. She isn't planting the seeds. She isn't harvesting. She's watering. She is fertilizing. She is weeding the garden. The appropriate maintenance steps in order to nurture the energies. And that is what you are being told to do. Nurture whatever this earthly path is. Or what you are currently doing is nurturing the path, right? This is the divine feminine. Now, clarifying what steps that can be taken, we've got the Six of Wands, and this indicates some change of thought, right? Swords, again, are about thoughts, air, and communication. It can be communication. It is almost to the throat, but not quite. And so it is tied to that, but it's probably an idea. This central trunk is much more linked than the other ones. And so this Queen of Swords is probably playing into this a little bit. They're going to a new place. Now, this is a 6, and 6s are the pre-iteration of the Queen, right? The Queen is a reiteration of the energy. 6 and our Queens are the lesser and the higher path. And so this is the nurturing of an idea on the lower path, nurturing of a communication on the lower path. But it is indicating movement, right? This is an active role, right? Some of the 6s are more passive, but this one is definitely active. This guy is poling his wife and child across the sea to a new land over here, and they are bringing their past thoughts and actions with them. That can be negative, but it is not intrinsically so. And these two cards together is indicating to me that there is a little bit of a nurturing spirit that needs to be taking place in your life, right? You have the Queen in reverse here, and you have the 2 pages in reverse here. You have an understanding here. You're being presented with a choice here. And this is nurturing, right? This is preparing for whatever this next big step is. It does appear that there is a big step unfolding, right? You have a nurturing right before the harvest, or nurture before the harvest, a challenge, and some understanding that you are not to reach. And so this can indicate that you need to make movement in your nurturing, right? That's another one of those that's a little bit hard, right? How do you actively do that? Well, get out and spread some fertilizer. Put the bullshit where it goes, not where it doesn't, right? Putting the appropriate energy into the appropriate thoughts is what's going to lead to the nurturing of this path, right? This is steps that can be taken. So nurturing the thoughts and ideas may be communications, but that is really not indicated. And so this is probably a thought or an idea that you need to nurture in order to nurture this earthly path. Next, we go to the throat, and the throat is the area of communication. It deals with pride and humility. So taking too much credit for your work, giving away a little bit too much credit for your work, neither one is intrinsically good. You are supposed to be proud of a job well done, but it does not make you better than anyone. And you have some celebration that is not quite here yet. This is the 4 card, right? This is the 4 of Wands, which is about change, but this is another marriage card. This is another one that actually makes sense. Now, the Hierophant to me as a marriage card does not make sense, but other people see it that way, right? I guess because the officiant is standing there, but that is 2 priests, right? But this is absolutely a marriage card, right? The lovers, marriage, partnership, every single time, divinely ordained. This is another one of the marriage cards that actually does make sense. These 2 people are celebrating together. They are man and woman, and they are probably just been joined in some happiness, right? They have celebratory wreath wrapped around their wands of change. The city is entirely behind them. Everything is perfect, and this is good. Now, this is an understanding card, so there can be some understanding that needs to happen in this area. This can be understanding around a situation dealing with a person or a partner. Right now, you have this less passive thought or emotion or thought or communication that you need to be less nurturing in. This is a kind of the same energy as that. This is a divine partnership in reverse, which can indicate some breaking apart, but not necessarily, especially not here. This is possibly some communication between the 2 of you that is not happening effectively. This is the area of communication. It is clarified by a communication card, so this can be a change is needed in a divine relationship. That is not to say that the relationship is not meant to be, but rather that you need to communicate a little bit more effectively in the relationship so that this understanding can happen, right? You are in this spot of not understanding an emotion and not understanding some change, so there may be some understanding that needs to happen around some change. Next up, we have the clarifier, and the clarification from the Divine Masculine is to let go of some regrets. This is the 9 of Swords, and 9 of Swords are about choice, right? 9s are choices. Swords are about thoughts, ideas, communication. It is in a communication spot. It is a communication card. There can be a regret around a communication. I emphasize regret because this is one of the regret cards, right? I call this one the PTSD card because he is up at night worrying about the things that he has done. So this is presenting itself to you in the upright, which means that you are facing something like this. You may have some regrets around an idea or a thought. You may have some regrets around some past actions. And that is probably what's indicated. PTSD is mostly about what you have done, not really what has happened to you. That is a misunderstanding that a lot of people have. And so this can indicate that there are some regrets holding you back. This is steps that you can take, and it is being presented to you in the front, so maybe it's not let go of the regrets. Maybe those regrets are accurate. Now, you do have an understanding that needs to unfold around some change, and the clarifier for that is maybe expressing those regrets, right? Not that you don't have them. This would be letting go of them. This is expressing them correctly. Now, you do have this misunderstanding here. This can be that you have already miscommunicated and it has led to no understanding, but this is the active card indicating that you need to actively make a communication about a regret, and that may lead to this understanding unlocking. Not necessarily because this can indicate that you are not to give that consideration, but the way that this right-hand path is linked, right, you have an understanding that is not unfolding, and then you need to have some understanding or some nurturing around your earthly path, and you have this divine partnership that is not in accordance. You have not understanding about some change, but enacting some change in your life, right? Even if you do not intuitively know what the change is, you're still to enact the change. And that is intricately linked to this regrets card. That may be you expressing regrets. Generally speaking, in the upright, that is going to be you expressing those regrets, especially in this communication area. It is tied to this not understanding that is happening around change and a divine partnership. And so maybe there is some communication that needs to happen, but staying where you are, right? You are probably correct. Even if you have regrets, those regrets may be due to a misunderstanding around an emotion or the change. Overall, this solar plexus to me is indicating that you need to stand in the spirit of not understanding. And again, that is not to dismiss anyone's feelings, but not to give undue consideration to them. Now, you've got a little bit different energy here, but we have duplicate cards, right? That is a reiteration of things, right? We have the Six of Swords and the Six of Swords in opposite positions, right? These two are linked. This trinity across is linked as well. The third eye, the heart, and the sacral all are energetic feeds, and so they do cross play in every direction, right? All of the anywhere that there is a diagonal or a straight line, it can be that way. And so there can be some energy related to this that is related to this. This is the active current situation. This is the steps to take. This is the key, the center to all things, the core of you. And so in the third eye, this is where you envision your future. It is your hopes, your dreams, and your aspirations. This is what you are trying to manifest in your life. You energetically invest through your heart into the divine. You take positive steps towards that manifestation in your sacral. This is the area that deals with sloth and diligence, working hard towards your goal, expecting it to just pop up on its own. It will not pop up on its own. You are required to be diligent. But there is a time for slothfulness too, right? Recreation is a thing, and you should be partaking in it, just not exclusively. Now you have this Six of Swords in reverse, which means that your current situation is not reaching the understanding about the thought or the idea. This is telling you that you need to, right? This heart center, that is telling you what you need to do. This is telling you the current situation, and this is an iteration of that, right? You have it in the reverse, saying that you do not have. You have it here in the obverse, telling you that you need to do. That is a direct communication that you need to make changes around a thought or an idea, and it may involve movement to a new place, but it may just be movement. Now, clarifying that, we have the Page of Cups, which you have down here in the opposite position for the current situation. And this is telling you that you need to reach an understanding. This clarifies this in a way that we haven't had yet, right? Before now, this was maybe you don't need to reach that understanding. This is that you do. But that is through this, right? This communication that you are having is going to lead to this understanding that is going to allow you to change these things around, right? This communication flips this card around. This card being flipped around can lead to the understanding of change, which will help flip around the Page of Cups, which is here, which can help flip around the Path, which is here. And so it does appear that there is a communication that needs to happen around an idea or an emotion. There is an understanding that is not currently unfolding, but absolutely needs to happen, and they can be the same understanding. And so what you're being told here is that there is movement necessary. Maybe you are not to actively seek it. There is understanding that needs to unfold, right? This is you actively doing so in your thoughts. This is less so in the mortal coil. And so there is an understanding that needs to be happening, but it is probably going to be related to this communication. And then we get to the crown, and the crown is where you interpret what the divine tells you. You receive a message from the divine, it comes through the crown. You feel responsible for distributing it. This is the area that deals with hope and despair. So if everything is going terrible and you find the silver lining, this is the area of balance. If everything is going great and you are choosing depression, this is the area you need to balance. And what we have is a spirit of communication. Now, this is the communication, not like a sword, but a cooperation is better, right? Spirit of cooperation is the threes. It is about learning something, but this is you on the bench right here doing the actual work. And then one of these guys over here is the guy that is buying it, and the other one is the guy that is teaching you how to do it. And so you are learning the earthly path from other people. That is a spirit of cooperation. That is three people acting in accordance with each other to accomplish a common goal. This is what is currently your responsibility for your life, right? What you feel like. And that is a spirit of cooperation that you absolutely do not have, right? You don't have the understanding of the emotion. You don't have the understanding of the change. You don't have the nurturing spirit. You have a challenge in the area. You're not making a choice around the change, right? There's a whole lot of energy here that you need to get into a spirit of cooperation around. Now, we don't have the hermit, so there's no direct come out of isolation or go into isolation. But this overall does seem to indicate there is a partnership, right? These two lovers cards. There is a partnership that is unfolding, and it requires some communication. It's going to require some change. Clarifying what steps that can be taken to achieve this spirit of cooperation that you feel responsible for is the change of the old situation. This is an 8. No, this is a 13. 13 is going to be the nurture and overcome, right? Just one card past the challenge. I am reading that right. Yeah, that's the 13. So this is the clarifier for the Queen of Swords, which is the down here. That is okay, so that's the clarifier showing up opposite. Your steps forward is to put to death some old thing. Now, that's not go and kill your dog, right? That is this habit that you have some regrets on has to go away. This communication, right? The pride that you were holding on to has to go away. The understanding that you need, right? You have to put something to death to find it. When he is standing tall, as he is riding his white horse of victory, holding high his banner of victory. He has got the face of death because he has defeated the old system. The emperor is under his feet. In front of him is his new subjects. They are happy to see him. They are celebrating. He is riding in, but it is a change. This is a somewhat uncontrolled change, but you do have more control of this than you do of the tower or what's the other change card? You got the tower and you got the Wheel of Fortune, right? Those are more uncontrolled change unless they present themselves in the reverse. This is you actively putting to death something that no longer serves you. It is a thought that is no longer serving its purpose. It is a habit that is no longer beneficial for you. And so, in order to enact this spirit of communicate or cooperation, I keep saying communication, that is a slip. It is probably something Spirit is trying to get across. There is a communication that needs to happen. And so this is putting to death something that is holding you back from this communication, from this understanding, from setting out to do your thing. Whatever it is, it's probably a habit, but it may not be. It is preventing you from being open and honest. It is preventing you from understanding the regrets. It is preventing you from your forward progress. And so what you are being told to do in order to achieve the spirit of cooperation that is necessary to unlock all of the rest of the things is to put to death something that you know is not serving you. Next, we go to the divine, and this is a direct message from the divine. It is not colored by the virtues or the vices. The divine has the virtues and vices in perfect balance. You have change. Now, this is, again, when this is upright, this is sudden change that is coming into your life. These wands, which signify change or intuition, right? But this is forward movement. Somebody has thrown all of these wands, and they are all on the downward trajectory. They are coming towards the target. The Earth is right here. They are very close. They are almost all in an equality, right? They are almost all getting to the goal at the same time. This is forward movement in very real ways. This is less of that energy. This is you enacting change, right? This is one of the change cards that you got a little bit of control over. This is happening. You can realize it. This is just after the harvest. This is realizing the path of change is even there, right? This is an 8. 8s are about realizing, hey, look, there's a new path. I have just finished this path that I was upon. Look, here is a new one that I can partake of, right? The realization of a new path, sudden change coming into your life. The realization of an old path, or change coming into your life a little bit slower. This, right, upright indicates a small measure of control. This actually indicates more control. This is more of a controllable change. Now, the way that you control that change and enact it into your life, the Divine Masculine is telling you, is by rising to meet the challenge of the earthly plane in a negative flexion. Now, when this is standing tall, he is rising to meet the challenge, but he is not charging, right? There is no forward movement of the horse. He is fully armored. He is able to protect himself, but he is contemplating the world so that he can rise to meet the challenge appropriately. He has knowledge. He has gained the learning from the 3. He has got the understanding from the 4, and now he's rising to the 5. This is rising to meet the challenge. This is a little bit letting the challenge come to you. This is you go out and meet the challenge. This is let the challenge come to you, right? Masculine, feminine. And so this is more, right? Let's do them together. If we take these 2 cards together, right? What we have in consideration of everything else on the deck, there's a great deal of change unfolding in your life. You have a small measure of control, but that control is by coming to the realization that you have some regrets to get over, that you have some change to enact in your life, that there is something that you have to put the death to. And by realizing that you have to put the death to it, you realize that there is a whole new path of change. Making communications about whatever it is that you are putting the death to will lead to this realization of a new opportunity. And you are to rise to meet that challenge of an earthly provisionary path, but you do so by not being aggressive and instead letting the challenge come to you, and you rise to meet it as it comes to you. That's going to bring us to the end of the reading, and hopefully I brought a little bit of enlightenment and not too much confusion. If you like what I'm doing over here, let me know down below. Give me a like, a share, a follow, throw me a comment if you agree or disagree with anything that was stated. Put it in the box down below, and if it remains respectful, it gets to remain up. If you really like what I'm doing over here, hit me with that super thanks. Consider joining for a membership or picking up a copy of my book, which is linked down below, and I teach you to do magic responsibly. To the crew, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate every single minute that you are here with me, and I am praying for you every single day. Until next time, I love you. God loves you. You are perfect, whole, and complete just the way that you are. And this has been Pitt's Take. Peace.